Imagine this. You wake up every morning with the strange sense that something is missing. You go through life, learning, experiencing, achieving, and struggling. But deep down, there's always this quiet whisper, I've been here before. This isn't just déjà vu, it's not just imagination. It's your soul, trying to remind you of something far older than your current life. The ancient Egyptians understood this mystery. They believed that when we enter the physical body, we are born into forgetting. Our true essence, our soul's story, is hidden from us. Not because it was stolen, not because it was lost, but because we must choose to remember. And here's where Thoth, the great keeper of wisdom, the scribe of the gods, the master of hidden knowledge, steps in. He left behind, not just symbols and texts, but a secret trick, a way to pierce through the veil of forgetting, a way to awaken the memory of who you have always been. Think about that for a moment. What would it mean if you suddenly remembered everything? Not just childhood memories, but echoes of lives before this one. The people you've loved before, the lessons you've carried across lifetimes, the purpose you set before you were even born. This is the power of Thoth's secret. It isn't about gaining something new. It's about uncovering what has always been there. So tonight, as we explore this ancient teaching, prepare yourself, because once you learn this, you may never look at yourself the same way again. The problem of forgetting. When you entered this world, you cried your first breath. The light was blinding, the air was heavy, and in that moment, something happened. Something that almost every soul who chooses to incarnate experiences. You forgot, not by accident, not by some cruel twist of fate, but by design. The ancients taught that forgetting is a veil, an intentional covering placed over the soul's vast memory. The moment you are born, the infinite library of your past lives, your ancient contracts, your agreements with the universe, and the wisdom of all that you are, fades into silence. It's not that your memories are gone, they are still there, locked deep within you. Every life you've lived, every lesson you've learned, every sacred promise you've made, it's all encoded in the fabric of your being. But here in this physical body, in this dense reality, you don't remember. You wake up as if on a blank page, and life asks you to write again, as though for the first time. Why? Why would the soul choose such a handicap? Why come to this world only to lose the very wisdom you've already earned across countless lifetimes? The answer is both profound and unsettling, because forgetting is the test. The veil of illusion. In ancient Egyptian thought, the physical world was known as the realm of illusion, a place where shadows take the form of reality, and where the eternal self is disguised inside a temporary shell of flesh and bone. If you remembered everything from the start, every past life, every divine power, every cosmic truth, life here would not serve its purpose. There would be no struggle, no growth, no genuine discovery. It would be like playing a game where you already know every move and every outcome. You wouldn't learn, you would only repeat. And so, the veil is placed, a curtain of forgetting, so that every experience feels new, every challenge feels real, and every relationship can be rediscovered with fresh eyes. This is why so many people wander through life with that faint, aching sense that something is missing. Because deep down, they know this isn't their first time here. They know there is more. The soul's hidden memory. The truth is, your soul does not forget. It remembers everything. Every word spoken in lifetimes past. Every choice made in other bodies, in other times, in other worlds. Every moment of triumph. Every moment of loss. Every sacred vow. It is all still inside you, recorded like ink on a scroll, stored in what mystics call the Akashic record, the cosmic library, where nothing is ever erased. But here, in the body, in this lifetime, you live under the weight of amnesia, and yet, pieces of memory leak through. That moment when you meet someone for the first time, and feel as though you've known them forever. That strange pull toward a place you've never visited, but feels like home. That dream so vivid, so real, you wake up certain it wasn't just imagination. These are cracks in the veil, tiny glimpses of the soul's hidden archive, reminders that forgetting is only surface deep. Why we must forget, but why would the universe design it this way? Because true mastery is not about remembering, it is about choosing. Imagine this, You enter the game of life with no memory of your past plays. Each challenge tests not your knowledge, but your essence. Will you choose love or fear? Will you rise above the illusion, or sink into it? This is the reason the veil exists, to see if the soul, even in the fog of forgetting, can still find its way back to truth. To see if you can remember, not with your mind, but with your being. The Egyptians called this the path of return. The soul descends into matter, into density, into illusion, and the task is to climb back upward, to peel away the layers of forgetting, to awaken again to who you have always been. This is why forgetting feels so painful. It is not a punishment, it is the setup for the greatest journey, the journey of remembrance. The ache of forgetting. If you've ever felt lost, empty, or out of place in this world, you are feeling the weight of the veil. If you've ever felt a deep longing you cannot explain, a homesickness for somewhere you can't name, you are feeling the ache of forgetting. It is the soul's way of nudging you, reminding you that there is more than what your eyes see, that you are more than this single lifetime, more than this temporary identity. And it is in that ache, that restlessness, that yearning, that Thoth's secret becomes most powerful, because only those who feel the call of forgetting are ready to seek the path of remembering, the hidden opportunity. So yes, you have forgotten, but forgetting is not failure, it is the beginning. Every challenge you face now is an invitation to rediscover the wisdom your soul already carries. Every relationship that breaks you is a chance to uncover old karmic threads. Every dream, every vision, every unexplained pull toward the mystical is the universe whispering. Remember, the veil makes life difficult, but it also makes awakening possible. Without forgetting, there would be no remembering. Without the illusion, there would be no revelation. And that is why Thoth taught his followers that forgetting is sacred. It is the lock placed upon the door of your soul, and the trick he left behind, the sound, the vibration, the resonance, is the key. And so, the question is no longer why did we forget? The question becomes, are you ready to remember? Thoth's secret trick. If forgetting is the lock, then Thoth, the scribe of the gods, the guardian of hidden wisdom, left behind the key. The Egyptians called him Jayuti, the keeper of divine words. He was said to record every event, every soul's journey, and every truth that shaped reality itself. But Thoth did not only keep the records, he understood how to unlock them. Hidden in the teachings attributed to him is a secret trick, not an elaborate ritual, not a sacrifice or ceremony, but something so simple, so subtle, that most overlook it completely. Thoth taught that memory is not accessed through the mind, but through resonance, the language of vibration. The ancients believed the universe was spoken into existence. Every star, every planet, every cell of your body began as sound, vibration woven into form. If creation itself is sound, then memory too is sound. Not words, not stories, not images, but frequency. Thoth's secret trick is this. If you want to awaken the memories hidden within your soul, you must speak the language of the soul, and the soul does not respond to logic. It responds to vibration. That is why mantras exist, why chants echo through temples, why shamans around the world hum, sing, or drum their way into altered states. They are not merely making noise. They are striking a key that unlocks a hidden door, the forgotten sound. In the Hermetic traditions that echo Thoth's wisdom, it is said there is a single sound that can align the human being with the Akashic current, the living stream of memory that flows through the universe. This sound is not a word, it is a tone, a vibration that does not belong to any one language, but to the essence of existence itself. It is not something you repeat casually, like an affirmation. It is something you become. When you chant, hum, or breathe this sound with full awareness, something begins to shift. The body vibrates differently. The mind quiets, and suddenly, the veil of forgetting grows thin. How the trick works: think of your soul like a harp. Over lifetimes, dust collects on the strings. The sound grows faint. You still play, but the music is distorted. Thoth's sound is the hand that wipes the strings clean. It restores the resonance. When you repeat it, you are not just making noise, you are tuning your instrument. And once tuned, the harp can play the music it was always meant to play. Your memories are the music, The sound is the tuning. This is why Thoth's followers considered chanting sacred. They believed sound could realign the soul with cosmic truth, awakening not just past life memory, but the eternal sense of who you have always been. The practice. So how do you use this secret trick? Silence. The world Thoth sound can only be heard when the noise of ordinary life is quieted. Find a still place. Darkness if possible. A moment where you will not be disturbed. Breath of remembrance. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply, slowly, as though breathing in light. Hold. Then exhale, as though releasing the weight of countless forgotten years. Repeat until you feel your body soften. The sound now, hum or chant a tone. Not with effort, but with surrender. Let the vibration rise from deep in your chest, not your throat. Feel it resonate through your bones. At first, it may sound ordinary. But if you continue, something changes. The sound begins to vibrate through you, rather than from you. You become the sound. The resonance, as you chant, allow images, sensations, or emotions to drift into your awareness. Don't chase them, don't analyze them, just notice. These are fragments of remembrance, carried through the vibration. Integration. When finished, sit in silence. Let the after vibration settle. Sometimes nothing will happen immediately, but often, within dreams, synchronicities, or sudden insights, the soul begins to reveal what the sound has unlocked. The doorway to the Akashic record. Those who practiced Thoth sound claimed it did more than awaken personal memory. It opened access to the Akashic record, the living archive of everything. This is why sages, mystics, and initiates across time have used sound as a doorway. Chanting Om, humming the ancient tones of Egypt, or reciting mantras in temples, all are echoes of the same principle. Sound awakens memory. To remember is not to think, it is to resonate. The subtle shifts. When you work with Thoth sound, the changes may at first be small, dreams may sharpen. A déjà vu might strike more deeply. A chance meeting may feel like the reunion of an old friend. But the more you practice, the more profound the shift becomes. You begin to feel the continuity of your existence. You recognize patterns repeating across lifetimes. You recall lessons, promises, even faces from ages past. And in these remembrances, something incredible happens. Fear begins to dissolve, because how can you fear death when you remember that you have died 1,000 times, only to return again? How can you feel lost when you remember that you are, and always have been, part of an infinite story? The true nature of the trick here is the most important part. Thoth's trick is not about a single magical word. It is about rediscovering the vibration that already exists within you. The sound is not outside, it is your own resonance, your own eternal frequency. When you chant, when you hum, when you breathe with intention, you are not calling something foreign. You are aligning with yourself, the self that has always been, the self that never forgot, the self that has simply been waiting for you to remember. So understand this. Thoth's trick is not a spell, it is a mirror. A way to strip away illusion, to awaken resonance, and to return to the eternal memory within. And once you hear it, once you feel it vibrating through the marrow of your bones, forgetting will never hold the same power again, because now you know the secret. The memory was never gone, it was only waiting for you to sing it back to life. What happens when you remember? So what truly happens when you break through the veil? When Thoth sound, or your own resonance, begins to awaken the memory hidden within your soul? The answer is not simple, because remembrance is not just an event, it is a transformation. To remember who you have always been, is to step into a new dimension of being. Your perspective shifts, your choices change. The very fabric of your reality begins to feel different. And yet, it begins subtly, like ripples on still water. The first ripples at first, remembrance feels like déjà vu. Not just fleeting moments, but powerful waves that wash over you with undeniable weight. You walk into a place you've never been, yet every detail feels familiar. You look into the eyes of a stranger, and a hidden voice inside whispers, "I know you." Dreams grow sharper. They no longer fade like smoke at sunrise, but linger with clarity, with meaning. You begin to notice repeating symbols, repeating faces, repeating lessons. It's as though your soul is pulling threads from the tapestry of eternity, weaving them into the fabric of your waking life. These are the first whispers of remembrance, small but profound. They let you know the lock is turning, the door is opening, the deepening. But as you continue, remembrance deepens, and it is here that life begins to change in ways you cannot ignore. You start to recognize patterns, not just in yourself but in others. You see the cycles that repeat, the lessons that return, the karmic threads that weave through your relationships, the same arguments, the same wounds, the same attractions and repulsions. You begin to realize they are not random. They are echoes from lives before. When you remember, those patterns are no longer invisible chains. You see them for what they are, opportunities for growth, chances to heal what was left unfinished. This is one of the greatest gifts of remembrance, clarity. The fog of confusion begins to lift, and you understand why you are drawn to certain people, why you face certain challenges, why your soul chose this life in the first place. The unveiling of purpose. Perhaps the most powerful shift comes when your true purpose begins to emerge. When you remember, life stops feeling like a series of random events. You sense the blueprint beneath it all, the mission you carried with you before birth. It might come as a sudden vision, or a slow realization that builds over time. But once it comes, you cannot unsee it. Your purpose may not be grand in the worldly sense. It may not mean crowns or empires. It may be as simple as healing others, as guiding lost souls, as embodying love in a world that has forgotten it. But whatever it is, remembrance ignites it. It is like suddenly remembering why you entered the room. Everything sharpens, everything aligns. The dissolving of fear. Another profound effect of remembrance is the dissolving of fear. Because when you remember who you've been, you also remember that death is not the end. You've died before, countless times. And yet here you are, alive again, conscious again, still traveling, still learning, still eternal. When you remember this, the grip of fear weakens, the fear of death, the fear of failure, even the fear of loss. You begin to see life as a journey, not a trap. Challenges become lessons, endings become doorways, pain becomes teacher, and suddenly you walk with a calmness the world cannot explain because you know, the reunion of souls. Perhaps the most beautiful part of remembrance is the way it reconnects you to others. When you remember, you start to recognize the souls around you. The mother who feels more like a daughter, the friend who feels more like a brother, the stranger who feels like a lover from another time. These are not coincidences, they are reunions. Remembrance allows you to see the timeless bonds beneath temporary roles. And in that recognition, love deepens, compassion grows, forgiveness becomes easier, because you see not just the person before you, but the soul behind the eyes, the soul you have met, loved, clashed with, and grown with across lifetimes. The weight of responsibility. But remembrance is not only beauty, it carries weight. Because once you remember, you cannot pretend to be blind again. You can no longer hide behind ignorance. You see the consequences of your choices stretching beyond this lifetime. You understand that your actions ripple not just through the present, but through eternity. This is why Thoth warned that remembrance is not for everyone. It requires strength, humility, and readiness. Because remembrance is not just power, it is responsibility. When you remember who you've always been, you are called to live differently, to act from wisdom, not impulse, to honor the truth you now know. And for some that burden feels heavy. But for those who are ready, it is the beginning of liberation, the expansion of consciousness. Ultimately, remembrance transforms the way you perceive reality itself. The walls of separation grow thin. You begin to sense that everything, every life, every soul, every event, is part of a vast interconnected web. You are no longer a single drop in the ocean. You are the ocean, experiencing itself as a drop. This expansion changes everything. It changes how you see yourself, how you treat others, how you walk through the world. Life becomes sacred again. Every moment, every breath, every encounter carries meaning. And you realize that the true purpose of remembrance is not just to know the past, it is to awaken fully into the present. The gift of liberation. So what happens when you remember? You are freed. freed from the illusion of separation, freed from the fear of death, freed from the endless cycles of suffering that ignorance creates. And in that freedom, you rediscover the truth Thoth wanted you to know all along, that you are eternal, that you have always been, and that everything you seek has always been within you, waiting to be remembered. The warning: there is a reason Thoth did not carve his secret trick into stone for the masses to see. There is a reason the ancient initiates were sworn to silence, their lips sealed by oaths before they were ever allowed to touch sacred knowledge. Because remembrance is not safe for everyone. It is powerful, yes. Beautiful, yes. But power without preparation can be dangerous. When you lift the veil and remember who you have always been, you cannot unsee it, you cannot go back. And not every soul is ready for that. The shock of truth: imagine living your entire life, believing you are small, fragile, temporary, just one human being on one planet, destined to vanish at death. And then in a moment, realizing you are eternal, realizing you have lived hundreds, maybe thousands of lifetimes before this one. Realizing that the choices you make ripple beyond this life, shaping not only your future, but the very balance of existence itself. For some, this is liberation. For others, it is terror. To carry the memory of who you have been is to confront your shadows. It is to remember not only your triumphs, but also your failures. The people you hurt, the promises you broke, the lifetimes where you chose fear, greed, or cruelty. The veil protects you from this flood of memory. Without it, many would collapse under the weight of regret or guilt. This is why Thoth's trick must be approached with reverence, not curiosity. It is not a game. It is a sacred fire, and if you touch it unprepared, it can burn. The burden of responsibility. The second danger lies in responsibility, because once you remember, ignorance is no longer an excuse. You begin to see how every choice you make reverberates through the web of existence. You realize karma is not punishment, but the echo of your own actions returning to you. And when you remember this, you cannot live carelessly anymore. To lie, to betray, to harm. Suddenly, these are not small mistakes. You know they will follow you across lifetimes. Responsibility becomes inescapable, and responsibility can feel heavy to the unprepared heart. Thoth warned that remembrance demands maturity, the kind of maturity that can carry wisdom without arrogance and power without corruption. Without this balance, remembrance can twist the soul. It can feed ego instead of dissolving it. It can awaken pride instead of humility. And in doing so, it can chain you tighter to the cycles you were meant to escape. The temptation of power. Another danger is temptation. When memory awakens, gifts often come with it. You may rediscover abilities carried over from lifetimes past, heightened intuition, healing hands, the ability to influence energy, or even glimpses of future events. For a pure heart, these are tools for service, but for an ego-driven heart, they are weapons. History is filled with souls who remembered too much, too soon, and used their gifts to control others, to dominate, to feed their hunger for power. And though they gained empires, though they wore crowns, their souls sank deeper into the wheel of suffering. This is why Thoth's knowledge was hidden in symbols, locked in codes, protected by mystery schools. It was never meant for the reckless, the shattering of identity. Perhaps the greatest danger is the shattering of identity. Because when you remember, the story of who you are collapses. You are not just the name you were given, not just the body you wear, not just the beliefs you were taught. You are something vaster, stranger, eternal. For some, this revelation is freeing. For others, it is destabilizing. The ego clings desperately to its story. I am this, I am that, I belong here, I believe this. But remembrance dissolves those walls. It shows you that you are not the story, you are the storyteller. And that realization can feel like death to the small self. If you are not prepared, this can lead to confusion, detachment, even despair. The ground beneath you crumbles, and without guidance, you may lose your footing. Why the warning matters. So Thoth's warning is clear. Do not chase remembrance for entertainment. Do not seek it out of boredom or greed. Do not approach it like a toy to be played with. Approach it as you would approach fire, respectfully, carefully, with humility and readiness. Because fire can warm you, or it can destroy you. Remembrance is the same. When the time is right, when your heart is ready, remembrance will come naturally. The sound, the resonance, the vibration, these will not just be techniques. They will be doorways. Your soul is prepared to walk through. But if you force it too soon, you may open doors you are not strong enough to walk through yet. The choice in the end, remembrance is not forced, it is chosen, and the universe is merciful. It will not show you what you cannot yet carry. If you are ready, the veil will thin. If you are not, it will remain. And that is not punishment, it is protection. So Thoth's warning is not meant to scare you, it is meant to guard you. To remind you that wisdom is not in rushing, but in readiness. Because once you remember, you will never again be who you were before, and that change is irreversible. The final caution, so ask yourself this: are you ready to carry the weight of memory? Are you ready to confront not only your light, but your shadow? Are you ready to live with the responsibility that comes with knowing you are eternal? If your heart whispers yes, then the path of remembrance will open before you step by step. But if your heart hesitates, honor that. Wait, prepare, grow, because remembrance is not for the curious, it is for the ready. And when you are ready, you will discover what Thoth always knew. The secret was never about remembering alone, it was about becoming strong enough to hold the truth once you did. So here you are, standing at the edge of the mystery. You have peered through the veil, glimpsed the secret Thoth, left for those bold enough to seek it. You now know that forgetting is not the end, but the beginning. That remembrance is not about gaining something new, but uncovering what has always been within you. And now comes the moment of choice. Because remembrance is not a story to simply listen to, it is an invitation. A call, a mirror held before your soul. The quiet invitation: close your eyes for just a moment. Breathe, listen, not with your ears, but with the stillness inside. Beneath the surface noise of your thoughts, can you feel it? That subtle hum, that faint vibration that is always there, always waiting. That is the sound Thoth spoke of, the resonance of your own eternal being. It does not come from outside, it comes from within, and it whispers, remember. This is not about chanting perfectly or performing rituals flawlessly. It is about opening yourself to resonance, about daring to listen, not with the mind, but with the soul. Why you are here, ask yourself, why are you here, listening to this now? Is it an accident, a coincidence, or is it part of the design, a breadcrumb left by your own soul, guiding you back to yourself? Because deep down, you know the truth. You would not be hearing this if you weren't ready. Not fully ready perhaps, but ready enough to take the next step. Remembrance rarely comes in a single flash. It comes like dawn, slow, steady, inevitable. The light creeps in, the shadows retreat, and what was once hidden is revealed, the gentle practice. So tonight, when the noise of the day fades, try this. Sit in silence, close your eyes, breathe as though each breath is the first you've ever taken, and then, hum, chant. Whisper the vibration that feels most natural to you. Let it rise from your chest, from your belly, from the marrow of your bones. It doesn't matter what it sounds like, it matters what it feels like. Feel the resonance, feel the vibration move through you, as if you are remembering through sound. And then, listen. Not for words, not for visions, not for fireworks. Listen for the subtle shifts, the quiet openings, the gentle recognition that says, yes, I have always been. I remember. The transformation begins. With practice, something will awaken, dreams will speak more clearly, synchronicities will multiply, the world itself will begin to feel alive, as though it has been waiting for you to notice, and within you, a deeper truth will bloom, that you are not your name, not your body, not this single lifetime. You are the eternal traveler, the witness of ages, the weaver of countless stories. You are who you have always been. And the trick of Thoth is simply this: to stop chasing outside and to finally turn inward, to resonate with your own eternal essence until remembrance flows naturally, like water breaking through a dam. The final reflection, so take this with you: forgetting is not failure, it is the setup. Remembering is not reward, it is awakening. And awakening is not a destination, it is a way of being. You do not need temples of stone to remember. You do not need priests, or rituals, or golden crowns. You need only your breath, your voice, your willingness to listen. That is the true legacy of Thoth's secret. Not knowledge locked away, but wisdom waiting in plain sight. Not a key hidden in the hands of gods, but a resonance hidden in the heart of every soul. The call. So now, I leave you with a question, not for your mind, but for your soul. When the sound comes to you in silence, when the vibration stirs within your chest, when remembrance knocks gently at the door of your heart, will you answer? Because the truth is, you have never truly forgotten. You have always been who you are, and the moment you choose to remember, the veil will lift, and you will see, you were never lost, you were never broken, you were only waiting for yourself.